Hello and welcome to FatbossTV.
Hello.
And today we're looking at the Auchindoun 5-man on Warlords of Draenor beta.
Yes, in this instance, a brand new instance, and it's definitely different to the way Auchindoun was before. Remember, it was all like dilapidated and all broken up and horrible and like undeady. Now it's nice and pretty. It reminds me of like a Tempest Keep dungeon. It's definitely a very, very cool instance. But this instance is for the levels of about around level 95. That's what they scale you to on the beta right now. But
there will be a level 100 heroic, obviously, available once you do hit level 100, once it does hit live. The heroic version isn't actually available on the beta right now.
Yeah.
And the instance itself does have 4 bosses, but it does have various little mini bosses as well.
Yeah.
And the instance is relatively small, but it does make up for it with the content that is in the instance itself.
Yeah, so like when you first come in as well, like I think it's really nice, like it's a very different instance. Most instances you go in and you start fighting things straight away. Then you just go in there and start rampaging through and everything, but it doesn't happen in this instance. When you first go in, you're walking through all the hallways, there's all the draenei there, and they're all like talking to you like, oh hello, and all this shit, and it's pretty cool. Like, it's definitely a nice change of things. And then like once you go around the corner and go up to it, and then they go, oh no, something's wrong, all these draenei are being horrible. But like the lore behind it, like very, very, very simply,
in FatBoss fashion,
yeah,
of course,
is that some of the draenei are like, fuck Velen, the good guy of Alliance. We like the Burning Legion now, and we're going to use Auchindoun to summon them, because Auchindoun has loads of souls and stuff. So that's why they're there. Because that's why it's all happy and go lucky, and then they realise, oh shit, some of the draenei are being horrible, and that's when it all goes wrong. Okay.
And you're here to kick some butt.
You certainly are. So this is like the first area where you fight. You've got this giant crystal above, and they're kind of harvesting souls from it and stuff like that, which is pretty goddamn cool. Now this first set of trash, to be honest, like there's kind of 2 ways you'll go about it. Either you'll just destroy it really quickly and CC them down real fast, or they can actually be really vicious. They've got a whole arsenal of CC, mind controls, and all that kind of stuff. It's pretty vicious trash. Like I haven't like wiped on it, but we got very, very close sometimes, especially if you double pull. Like here, you'll be able to see that you get disorientated, and then someone gets mind controlled at the same time. You got to remember, you're the healer at this point, and there's all this horrible stuff going on. It's pretty vicious.
Yeah, it's relatively nasty. I mean, the mind control itself can be broken. It lasts for 10 seconds or until the player hits 50%, but you don't really want to drop the player to 50%.
Especially with like dots and stuff like that.
Yeah, unless it's the healer, in which case you probably want to get him out as soon as possible.
Yeah, exactly. So after clearing out the room of trash, the best thing happens. The crystal falls.
It collapses.
It does look really good, and all the souls are like flying out of it, and it's all awful and stuff. And this is where you actually meet the first boss, which is the soul construct, the defender. He's a relatively cool boss. He's like dual wielding shields, which is pretty sweet, and he's got some very simple mechanics, really. He's got like a Lai Sheni sort of lightning that he places on the ground that is actually permanent as well. That doesn't go away. So you got to make sure you move out of that. It's very, very simple. As well as he's got these light orbs that you got, and they spawn on top of players. And basically, if you stand there too long, and they'll explode. They do a fair amount of damage, and it is AOE. So if you're all on top of each other, like 6 of them will explode all at once, and it'll be pretty horrible.
Now, one of his main mechanics is that he'll throw his shield out, and very, very shortly after, he'll start doing AoE ticking damage to the entire room. However, it does work with line of sight if you're stood behind the shield. Stand behind the shield, you take no damage.
Yeah, it's kind of like Alishasor, as well as like Severin and all that kind of stuff. So it's like quite an old mechanic this in the game, but I think it's quite nice for a 5-man boss, especially using line of sight.
And it does do a lot of damage.
It does do a lot of damage.
This is only normal.
Yeah.
And we are using a level 100 talents, even though we are scaled to level 95.
Yeah, it's all a bit weird on the beta right now.
Yeah, it's a bit funny.
Yeah.
But even so, that's pretty much it. The boss only has those 3 mechanics you need to worry about. But I think it's quite a well-made boss, especially the fact that you can actually get those orbs to spawn behind the shield as well, so you almost need to move into the shield like last minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, once he's dead, you move down towards this hallway. And
they have like the best ever looking move in the game, like a charge with like these boomerangy sort of shaped lines coming out. That's the reason I showed this trash, just because of that. The trash itself is quite uninspiring. But
oh yeah, the trash sucks.
Yeah, but that move is really good. I think that
+1.
Yeah, so +1 for nice looking moves. And this is the second boss, and she was actually like escorting you around earlier, saying, "Oh, look at this, we're doing all of this here and all this crap." And now you're fighting her because she's an evil bitch in the end. And she's mainly got like 2 main mechanics, and the first one is Soul Vessel, and she spawns like an anti-magic zone on the ground. And then this happens.
Yeah.
It looks so good. And this just does AoE damage to anyone outside of it.
Yeah, and we did actually test it by standing out of it, just to see if we could sort of out-heal it. You can. It's not that devastating.
However, it does get devastating with a second ability, which is where she spawns these Taunt Spirits. And these have, like, a whole multitude of mechanics. You can see they got like the line charge as well, and they've also got like stuns and stuff, so you like get randomly stunned, and it's pretty hard going, to be honest. Like if you don't take out those ads quickly and like stuff like this happens, it gets pretty hectic pretty quickly. So it seems like unless you got really good DPS and you can nuke down the boss before it gets too problematic, it's really a good idea to deal with those ads. But to be honest, that's kind of it for this boss. I think it's kind of nice, like, in terms of the story of the dungeon. Like, you're kind of fighting the woman that was helping you out.
The boss is a little uninspired. I mean,
I think there could be definitely
a lack of mechanics. Yeah. It feels like they need one more mechanic for this fight. One
more thing to deal with would be really, really good. But it's not the end of the world. But one cool thing is she's like, too late, my master comes. And you know there was like trying to spawn the Burning Legion. And that's kind of like the whole idea of the instance. And this guy's like, oh, come on, we'll go fuck everyone up. And then he's like, oh shit, and then the Burning Legion just spawn on top of him, and you gotta deal with all the mobs, and it's really, really cool. The trash itself has like a kind of mix of very basic mechanics. Like you see there's little fiery imps. If you go next to them, you get a conflag on you,
and they have no aggro, they just run around.
Yeah, they just run around randomly. But going up the hallway, this is like the third boss room area, and you've got to take out all the Fel Guards. The Fel Guards themselves have like a frontal cleave, so you'll get knocked back and stuff, so you should probably want to face them away. And those other ads, all they do is just cast really, really long casts, which don't really seem to hurt that much either.
Well, see, the thing is, they're totally random. Sometimes they do no damage, and other times they like do like half your fucking health.
Yeah, it seems a little bit odd. But once you kill all the trash and that amazing thing spawns, I don't even know what it is. It just looks good. And you go on to the third boss, and this boss is he's kind of once again lacks mechanics, unfortunately. Yeah. He's pretty simple. He looks amazing. Don't get me wrong. He looks really, really cool.
It's a Belrock reskin, isn't it?
Yeah, he just looks like really felt energy, and he's like a really horrible bastard in the lore. I'm not going to bother going into it, but he at one point he does go up into the air and he spawns a bunch of ads. And these ads all need to be picked up. So he spawns like random ads that you've just been fighting through the trash. So the trash, once again, trying to teach you how the boss works a little bit and what you'll be dealing with the boss. So you get like Fel Guards, and you get the caster imps. And
while he is in the air spawning these ads, he is entirely immune.
Oh, yeah.
You can't do any damage to him. So
it's like best to pick up all the ads. And then, to be honest, you probably could nuke down the boss. Or
which is kind of what we did.
Yeah. So, and he doesn't actually do anything else. It's a shame he doesn't really got any interaction with the thing in the middle. And when I killed it myself, he didn't interact with it in any way. We left him for a very long time to see if his mechanics would advance.
I mean, pretty much the only mechanic has is that dot that he applies to players that makes it so it spreads. Like if you stood within 15 yards of other targets, it will dot them as well.
Yeah.
But it's barely noticeable, really.
Yeah, it's nothing really too much to worry about. But so it has a lot of potential. It's a lot of heroic potential, and it is very early, so hopefully they do tie it up a little bit, because if this is how it turns out on live, it's pretty unimpressive. Now, the boss here kind of turns into a bit of Throne of Thunder with a little bit of Sunken Temple mixed in. Yeah. The way it works.
That's probably a good way of looking at it,
because basically, before you can get to the last boss, you have to go on these really, really irritating rides round. It, like, literally goes the most awkward way to go to each of these platforms. And what you have to do in each platform, I think there's 3 of them, you just have to kill, like, a very small mini-boss and another ad. And all of these mini-bosses have, like, practically no mechanics. Some of them knock you back, so you got to be a bit careful. But overall, they're nothing really fantastic.
It's just little mini bosses. It's just a different way of doing standard trash instead of killing mini bosses and going around in circles.
I think it's definitely interesting because it's kind of like the idea of like kind of maybe weakening Terrangor, who's the last boss, and all that kind of stuff. So I think it is quite a nice idea. However, it's probably a bit dull. So here's the last boss, Terrangor. And he's actually pretty interesting. Like on the like surface, he looks like he doesn't really do anything. And to be honest, your first play through it, you might be a little bit underwhelmed. But he actually changes every single time that you do him. He's got like 3 alternative specs. Like for the first phase, he doesn't really do anything. But then he explodes.
Yeah, wow.
And basically,
that looks so good.
He's just absorbed either an Affliction spec, a Demonology spec, or Destruction spec. So he's got Demonology here, and he just basically does a bunch of Demonology spells. So he'll do his Chaos Wave, he'll do like Curse of Exhaustion, he'll be doing like Doom on players, he'll be doing Demonic Leaps that actually hurt quite a lot. And like if he's in Destruction, he's doing like Chaos Bolts and all this kind of stuff, and you've got to interrupt it because it really hurts and all this. So it is really, really clever.
I really like the idea that it does change each time you do come. I mean, that's quite nice.
Yeah.
I could see that being maybe a little bit RNG on challenge modes.
Yes, yeah, that is a good point. Maybe they'll make it so you get to pick on challenge modes or something like that.
But it's quite basic though.
Yeah, I think
still, the fight still doesn't have a lot to it.
Yeah, but what is the best thing is that at 10%, as any spec, he will fly up in the air, just to let you know. And he's like, I'm just going to eat all these souls, and nom 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 nom, and see you later.
So you don't actually kill him, but I
Yeah.
mean, you wouldn't anyway.
It's a little bit abrupt.
It's Terrangor, but
yeah, I think he'll be a bit more of a raid boss, so we'll probably be fighting him somewhere else. But yeah, the instance itself, I think overall, it is really, really good. It's got quite a lot to it.
I think it's a good instance, but I mean, it's only the first boss that really has anything to him. The rest of the bosses maybe a little bit lackluster. They sort of feel unfinished, basically.
Well, it is very early beta, and once again, normal. Like, I think the abilities are very pretty, but not very difficult.
Yeah,
I think
there's
that's
not a
probably the
lot
best
to
way of
them. I think,
describing
I mean, some of the bosses, they would be much better, literally, if one more mechanic was added.
Yeah, exactly.
It would make them feel more complete. But thank you very much for watching, guys. If you did enjoy this video, do drop us a like, and of course, we'll see you on the live stream.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.